Why do we reach for a label so fast? Is it easier to say she's gone and let her be the past? She didn't build that cage, mended. Does that make her matter less? Somebody put her there. Does that mean she deserves less? They put his face on every screen. The ogre gets the headline to press the whole machine. But the ones who lost their lives, they lose their name. Just a footnote in his story. Just another face of shame. Melissa, Maureen, Megan, Amber, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, Karen. Say them slow, say them loud. They deserve to be more than a crowd. We have to stop believing they don't matter, because they didn't choose that path. They were forced into the shadows, and we judge the aftermath. They were only trying to make it, trying to survive, preyed on by the men who forced them into it. Used them up and moved on to the next girl. No protection from the clients, no one came when they called. The escort, the stripper, the ones we let fall through the cracks that we built with our eyes turned away. Well, it was her profession, that's the excuse we say. Like she signed up to be hunted, like she asked to be prey. We have to stop believing they don't matter, because they didn't choose that path. They were forced into the shadows, then we judge the aftermath. No one came to protect them, no one heard them when they cried. They deserve to be remembered, they deserve justice, not to be cast aside. She was somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody who woke up every morning trying to make it through the day just like you. Nobody chooses to be preyed on. Nobody chooses to be forgotten. This is Gilgo Beach. 8 young lives trying to do better, trying to get a better life, trying to get away. And time ran out the moment the ogre crossed their path. Even the judge said it, a disgusting, despicable small man, if he's a man at all, a coward, sentenced to life without parole. It is so easy to put a label on a person when you don't know how they got there. It is so easy to look away. The silence ends here. Melissa, Maureen, Megan, Amber, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, Karen. Say them slow, say them loud, not a footnote, not anymore. We have to stop believing they don't matter, because they didn't choose that path. They were forced into the shadows, then we judge the aftermath. They were victims before they met him. They deserve to be remembered. They deserve justice. They deserve to be here. Melissa, Maureen, Megan, Amber, Jessica, Valerie, Sandra, Karen. Say their names. the silence ends here.
Live on the air, Trial Junkies United presents Justice After Dark with your host, Z.
Hey, everybody. Okay, I'm going to have to tell you right now, Doc got me a new camera so that it doesn't look like I am looking down all the time. But it's going to take some time for me to get used to this. So just be prepared because you know how I like to push the wrong button all the time. Well, this is just another button I'm probably going to mess up. So, but we love you. Greetings to all of our trial junkies, our truth seekers, and our justice warriors. Now, quick thing before we get into it, y'all are, like I said, seeing something new with my camera, but we also have some really good news. And that is that we actually, whoops, hit the button too quick.
Yep.
We hit over 500 subscribers. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to our community for coming out and checking us out and listening to the stories. Because I'm Z, the storyteller, and I tell the stories that a lot of people don't want to tell. And we owe this to you guys, every single one of you who watches, who subscribes, who shares, who comments, and that is stuck with us through the darkest stories we tell. And Doc, Moo, and I, we honestly thank you so much. And of course, we all know Moo does most of the work because she has to nap during the show.
Yes.
Because she has to get ready.
Of
right,
course.
Doc?
Of course.
But every bit of your guys' support, your watches and shares, sending us a coffee or a Venmo, it really helps because it helps us put money back into the show. And that's how I got a new camera. Yay. So buckle up tonight, you guys, because the path's going to be bumpy. We're going to lead you through another section of the nightmare that they call the justice system. And tonight, for anyone just finding us, this is the case that put Long Island, the South Shore, on the map for the worst reason imaginable. And that was the Gilgo Beach. And beginning of December 2010, they were searching and looking for one missing woman who was, her name was Shannan Gilbert. And instead, they found the remains of 4 more instead, wrapped in burlap along Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. And over the following months, the count kept climbing. So it took over a decade. DNA off of a discarded pizza crust, cell tower data, a distinct vehicle, and then finally in 2023, the investigators were led to Massapequa Park architect named Rex Huberman. So in 2026, we know he pleaded guilty. He allocated to 8 women, and that was spanning from 1993 to 2010. But tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not just going to really tell you the story. We're going to bring someone in who's been there, who actually was helping Megan's family and then asked to help Shannan's. Now, this is the last time I will say the name of Rex Huberman. He will be called the org because that's what he is. He's just an org. And we're going to be talking about the victims and their families. And so let's get on with this. And it's not a headline because he took 8 lives and there could be more. But tonight we sit down with Dottie Laster. She's a trafficking advocate and investigator, and she actually triggered one of the biggest trafficking rings there in history back in 2005. So that is awesome. She comes with experience. And in 2010, she got the call to help with Megan Waterman's case. And then, like I told you, Shannan Gilbert's. So let me introduce her and welcome to our guest, Dottie. Thank you for being here. And before we get into Gilgo Beach, I want people to understand why your voice matters. Because you've trained law officers, correct?
Yes. Thank you for having me, and congratulations on reaching 500. Woo, good job.
You.
Yeah, I was so fortunate in 2004 to be selected by our assistant U.S. attorney in Texas to receive training from the Department of Justice to train law enforcement on the issue of human trafficking. So my trainings go back to that original, which no one was trained on that. I was one of about 40 people selected. So I have carried that with me with a patriot enthusiasm and a Texan honor. And I have literally trained every single law enforcement official I can find. And
Well, and you've also
other
written
people as well.
and you've
But
written
I'm proud of that.
grants. You've written a lot of grants.
I did. I wrote $6.5 million in grants to serve trafficking victims and unaccompanied children. And I built the human trafficking task forces for that were funded by the Department of Justice. I worked in the nonprofit world, but I was funded to build the human trafficking task forces in Houston, San Antonio, Austin, Texas, and then also Los Angeles, San Diego, and Orange counties, California. So I was out there before human trafficking was really known. It's still misunderstood, but it wasn't even known then. And so I had no book. I had to figure it out myself, and I'm lucky to have been there when I was.
Yeah. How did you get started, Dottie? What got you into the trafficking aspect?
Well, I guess it was meant to be, but I didn't know it. When I was a kid, I would read Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, and I just thought, if slavery still occurred, what would I do? Would I just buy all the slaves I could and keep them safe in my little property, or would I combat the whole system? And I remember I was only 8 or 9, and I realized, well, I guess I'll never know, and put that away. But I just knew that I hated slavery, hated it. And I went on and became a horse trainer, and I would rescue horses that were in trouble all over and teach people to ride. And I thought that was my career. Well,
Okay.
around 1999, I heard a story on the radio about a slave ship full of children that the crew abandoned it when it realized our military was observing it. And I was furious to think of 80 children on a ship bound for slavery. And I was mad at two things. Obviously, all the usual, the crew, the ship, what did the military
Right.
do? Where are the kids? Where are their families? What happened? No answers. That there was just a little story that I heard on the radio. And the second thing I was mad about is I was in no position to help them. I had no credentials, no ability to go get those answers. Well, fast forward, I have that now. So I went back to college. Literally, that was the main push that pushed me back into college. My kids were starting to get, into school longer, and it was time for me to return. And that's what I did. Well, I got into college, and once you get in, you just want to get out. So I kind of wake up in my master's program because I went all the way and finished my first degree and went on to get a master's. And someone from the State Department was speaking from the U.S. State Department on the issue of human trafficking. I don't even know what that was. I went to the lecture, and then I had this lightning bolt hit me, and like a fast forward, or I mean a fast, like a flashback. I had a flash forward of the next 10 years, and it all came true. Training law enforcement, doing media, investigating cases, and helping victims, and that all came true. So I didn't have a choice. It found me.
And that's how a lot of advocates say it. It's something that finds them. But why don't you take us back to 2010 and how you got called into the Gilgo Beach case?
Well, I want to say it's one of the honors of my life, and it's also one of the worst cases I've experienced. The most harsh, all of it was harsh. Not just the crime and the bad guy, but everything around them, and still is harsh to this day. And we'll talk about that. But in spite of all that, it's been my honor. I was found by a nonprofit called Avaz, and they had known that Megan was missing. Maybe Megan's family reached out to them, I believe, and they asked for help. Well, someone knew me and they reached out to me because there was prostitution involved and they felt like it was likely human trafficking, which is modern slavery for commercial sex or labor. And so I, of course, agreed to help.
Right.
And that was the beginning of it.
And so when you came into it, you came in working with Megan's family.
I
Um,
did. The
and
Watermans.
yeah, the Waterman family. And then they're the ones that then asked you to help also with Shannan, correct?
They did. Yes, they were so generous with um, just a generous family. And as we were trying to find Megan, of course, Shannon's case was, time wise and location wise, very similar. So we were already looking at her to try to figure out what was going on. Because remember, at this time, they're all missing. So
Right.
we're working with two families with missing people. We're starting to see something going on, but we don't know yet. Very early, that you would have never guessed where we were going to wind up. And so, of course, I was working with um, Megan's family directly, and we were understanding Shannon was missing. And then, of course, we asked them, they asked us kind of simultaneously, can we work together? And of course, we did. Meaning Megan's family asked me if I would help Shannon. I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, still to this day, I don't see how police separate these two cases. I don't know what they know. However,
Yeah.
time and geography would, even from the beginning, suggest some sort of connection, whatever it is.
Right.
So, of course, I reached out to her family, and um, she has a family member that no one really knows about or sees, and I worked directly with them and the rest of her family as we got further into the case. Of course, Megan was one of the first found, if not the first found,
Now,
and
and they were found by a dog trainer who was going out to train his dog, right? He was just going to take a walk and do some training with the dog, and then he discovers them. And at first
well,
they think it's Shannan.
this little breaking piece of information that I
Okay.
don't know has publicly been shared before. In working with Shannon's family member,
Uh-huh.
we devised, because if you remember back at that time, there was corrupt officials involved
Right.
in, all parts of all investigations. They were busy covering their tracks, which hindered any real police work. So the dog handler had been told you can't search anymore. And so her family and I came up and devised a plan, which she beautifully carried out. We said, what if you're just training and you're not officially searching? And when you're training, could you look right here, like really quick, because it's going to start snowing. And
Uh-huh.
then we'll be, and lo and behold, whoa, did he find a lot. That dog Blue is my hero.
Yeah.
But without that, imagine that. Had nobody thought outside the box, had nobody be willing to work with us like that wonderful
Yeah.
handler was, they'd all still be hidden. So,
Yeah. Because when they
yeah,
found they
I'll
they
take
first
credit for that.
awesome, but they thought it was Shannan at first, correct? When they first found.
Well, we always knew immediately that it wasn't her
Oh, okay.
because she had a broken jaw.
Oh, okay.
And her, and I say boyfriend because we'll talk about
Yeah.
mislabeling later, but um, she had a metal plate in her jaw. So we always knew very quickly whether or not it was her.
Okay.
And we knew very quickly it was likely Megan, but we didn't know for sure. And let me tell you about working with families. They need to know, even if it's bad news. But I will tell you, when I called her family, our investigator was there as the crime scene tape went up. Like we were that close. And it's funny, all these shows about it, but they don't really talk to us. We were there.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful private investigator that was just on it. So anyhow, we knew before it was getting out. And
Right.
I called the family every moment I was updated, and I was updated very close to simultaneously to the families. And when I called Megan's family, not after the bodies were found, but there was a waiting period for DNA, and we got the answer back, and I called them, and when she said hello, I knew she already knew the answer. Like,
Yeah.
I'd been talking to her all this time, and from hello, I didn't even have to finish my sentence.
Yeah.
And that's what's so sad, because their world changes and it doesn't come back. That hope in their voice, that eagerness of maybe we've got, a positive outcome, just
Right.
gone. And I heard it as simple as hi when she opened her phone.
And
And I just
Megan,
want people to sit on that a minute
yeah.
and think about their loved one.
Yeah, because she was a young mom. Megan
Yeah.
was. She had a daughter.
Yeah. A 3-year-old daughter at that time
Yeah.
who was with the family member I was calling.
Yeah.
So, that word hello, and I heard no hope, no joy, no sound like the person I'd been talking to every day. I knew she already had the answer.
Because it's a situation that their life has totally changed,
Yeah.
because now they
And
have
all hope
a
gone.
granddaughter to raise. They,
Mhm.
everything that they thought was part of the life was no longer, they
And the
have
one
to,
they've been missing every day and doing extraordinary efforts. I mean, her aunt lives in Maine. I live in Texas. I mean, just that. Imagine the extraordinary lifting she did to
yeah,
get help from Maine all the way to Texas.
yeah.
And that's
So,
all gone.
and I think that's something people have to realize. Megan was loved. She
Oh,
was
very much so.
deeply loved by her family. And
She was
we can't put just a label on her. And
she was quite um full of a spirit that I never met her, but I feel like I know her.
uh-huh.
And she loved her daughter. She was loved. She is missed. And the thing is that love for her exploded, not that moment when it's so sad,
Yeah.
but over this time period as her daughter is now of majority age and is starting her life, and her loved ones have missed her and held, hope for justice in this case all these years. Her love became the power, not the prison number is what you call the ogre.
Yeah.
The prison number has no power.
Yes.
He destroyed her body, but the love of her family and her back, yeah, it'll never die.
Yeah. And she was such a beautiful young lady. She
As she was so full of potential and a little bit of a character or prankster. So I would love to have met her.
yeah. And you actually had a really good experience with her grandpa. Or there's a picture of Shannon, but um let's see. Oh,
It would be
there's
Melissa's grandpa. Yeah, there they are.
that's her with her baby, who's now a
Yeah,
grown, beautiful young lady, but I had to show that shot because she's just so cute. But then, you were at this, where you were at was it a rally, or where you guys were holding up the signs and
we're still looking for Shannon at that time, and the families
okay,
got together to release balloons as some of the bodies had been found. And when I talk about the harshness of this case, at that time, the Suffolk County authorities, police, as the families would go to the grave, it's not the grave, but where they were located, where their
right.
bodies were found, they would sound their sirens and tell them, "You only have 3 minutes. You only have 5 minutes. Hurry up, get out of there. You can't stay." I mean, and they're like, "Oh, the parkway is dangerous." There was no traffic but us. And there was this long line of family and all the families. And of course, we're still looking for Shannon. So they're there. And they were so childish and harsh. And I don't think the media covered this.
Yeah,
No.
It was
that's
ridiculous.
heartless. That's heartless.
I mean, I still cry when I think about it. When I was there, I'm tough. I mean, I'm a little tough. It broke my soul to see how authorities could do this to them. And my goal there only was to maybe be a little bit of a shield for them. And you couldn't. They would sound this siren, so you couldn't talk, and it was ridiculous. And they're grieving. And in one incident, so we had multiple of these. I don't remember exactly which one this was. I think it was there 2 or 3 times. And he talked about the grandfather of Melissa. That's the other picture I sent you. He has her shirt
Yeah.
on. There he is. Now that is the day I'm talking about. Now
Yeah.
they were doing all this, making it so they couldn't hold a bit of a memorial where their loved ones had last been found. They had buried Melissa, and the police hand a box to Melissa's stepdad and her grandfather. It has one of her bones in it. And they're
Oh.
walking around that day while the sirens are going off, saying you can't stay, crying with this box, going, "What do I do with this? We've already buried her."
Ugh.
Yeah. And this
And
was
so
Melissa Barth. How do you say her last name? Bartha Bartholomew.
Bartholomew,
Barthelemy.
Bartholomew, yeah. And so this man in the picture, so he's deceased now, but I was so honored to meet him. He's very, very tall, and I'm 5 feet tall, so we're kind of cute in that balloon picture with the balloons. He's standing right next to me. You can see I'm pretty short. And he looks at me and he's like, "How can anyone be so mean?" And he meant who killed her, the police, the community, the whole. As I said, this whole thing was so harsh. The the geography was harsh. There were brambles that were thick like barbed wire. It was just tick infested, and there was nothing that wasn't harsh at this particular time and place. And this man looks like he earned every dollar he ever made with his strength. And
Yeah.
he's looking at me, and I just hugged him. I didn't
Yeah.
even have an answer. I can't answer it.
No.
I
And
wished
that
he could see today. He
and I
passed away before his day.
and see, I think that's the thing that people need to hear these kind of stories. It's not just the headlines. It's just not that the ogre got caught, and he's finally in prison for life. It's the women that count. These young girls that they kind of become the side story and people don't focus on them.
Well, in
Mel
my world, he was the most insignificant part of this. Yes, his
Yes.
actions led us all together, but he has no personality. He's so insignificant.
Yes.
These stories I'm telling you are real, and they're what we should care about. This
Yeah.
man loved his granddaughter, and
She
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 was
wasn't she the
stolen
one
from
that
him.
wasn't she also the one that was a hairdresser?
I confused. There's more than one, so
Yeah,
I won't
I think it was
remember. Maybe, yeah.
yeah. I know one of the girls was a hairdresser. One of and you said something about one of the girls was studying online before it was even popular.
Shannan, because if you look around Shannan, she was doing everything she could to get away. She's been portrayed as somehow this business person that was doing this of her own free will. In my opinion, that's absolutely false.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of these girls, what we're not understanding or the press isn't focusing on is that most of them were either coerced, they were trafficked, they were put in this situation by a supposed boyfriend, the Romeo angle that traffickers will use to get girls to do what they want, to make money off of them. They didn't choose this because they didn't, this was their choice. they get caught up in it. You know, someone sets a trap and they get caught and then they don't know how to get out.
Well, in Megan's case, there was a person that was around her just prior to this who was convicted of sex trafficking other women, not her, but he was doing that. And the sad thing is he hasn't been convicted on her case, but he
Yeah.
was convicted with others. So, and then when I spoke to several other families, they went, "Oh my gosh, that's what happened." Like they didn't have the knowledge of this until they met me, and so by then it's so far gone. I wish I could have met them all before they died. And if you
Right.
look at Jessica Taylor's photo, one of the first photos of her, my God, if that photo doesn't say someone's victimizing her, oh my
Yeah.
Lord, that photo is so sad. And so, you know, police do what they do and they look for facts. But as a victim advocate, I can know before I know. And
Yeah.
in this case, we had called out the corrupt officials and reported them to the FBI before it was known. And the FBI said we should mail what we wrote to them certified mail. And I'm like, are you kidding? You want me to tell the bad guy that I'm on to him? Like, oh my God. I still have his emails. It was so ridiculous. And if you switch back over to Shannan, let's go back to the first days that she's missing. It was said that law enforcement searched for her, but her sisters reported coming a few days later and finding her big gold earring on the boardwalk as you go up to Brewer's house. And
Yeah.
there's pictures of Shannon with that earring. So I'm like, how hard did you search?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
before
it's a van with no women
yeah.
living there. There's a big gold earring outside on the. I'm sorry, but that should be photographed, noted. I don't know,
Yeah.
something, but it was still left there for her sisters to find. Now imagine you're her sisters and
Yeah.
you've been told that she's being looked for, and you find her earring out there where she fled from, and it's just still sitting there.
Well, we've done a number of shows now where you just realize that that every town, every little city that pops up here and there does not have CSI, nor do
Yeah.
they care to have CSI.
Yeah.
And it becomes
So you mean
blatantly.
like common sense? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
it's just amazing to me how they will overlook details that the normal person that is not educated in crime prevention, they can figure it out. So why couldn't they?
Yeah,
because
back to common sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it too is they put a label on them. They're escorts. They're,
Well, I
they're
think, and I agree with what you're
yeah.
saying, but I want to restate it just briefly. They took the narrative they were given and ran with it without question.
Mm-hmm.
That narrative needs to be flipped around and looked at and re-questioned. They took the narrative that Shannan took off in hysterical state and died by her own action. I would say, in my opinion, that is a narrative they were fed, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
When
And
you
we're going to
listen
get
to her 911 call, you
yeah.
hear a woman that's hiding, not disoriented. The 911 call operator is Shannan. Do you realize, woman, she's hiding and you're yelling her name while
Yeah.
she's trying to hide?
Yeah.
Who was disoriented? Was it the call operator or was it Shannan?
Well, the call operator sounded rude to me. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't
She
want to pick
she
on them
just
in any way,
she
except
just
my training is she was hiding.
Yeah, oh, I totally agree. And we're going to delve into that a little bit deeper. But one of the other girls was Maureen. And when they said with her, she actually got pushed into what she was doing by a trafficker for financial desperation. You
which is
know,
coercion.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, which
Yeah.
is coercion.
Yeah.
And that is
And just
trafficking.
let me state for the audience, human trafficking is actually modern slavery. It's anyone held in service of another through force, fraud, or coercion for purposes of commercial sex or forced labor. So when you repeat that definition,
Right.
you will understand it also is any minor in any commercial sex. And commercial sex is stripping, porn, or prostitution. So anyone under the age of 18 cannot consent to that. Anyone over the age of 18, if they are coerced, they are a victim of modern slavery, which is human trafficking.
Yeah.
Now, when
And
you look at the case, it looks different.
now that's the
There's the
pictures.
earrings.
There's
There's
the
the
earrings.
earrings.
Yeah.
And
There's
look
the
under
earrings.
her makeup. I don't know my God. I don't know which picture this is, but if you look under her makeup, you'll see bruises quite often that have makeup over.
Yeah.
And her disappearance, it breaks my heart with hers because we know we don't have the story behind most of the other girls. Her story with Shannan, we do. We know that she was taken out to Oak Beach to see a client, that she was taken by her driver. So it wasn't like she went out there on her own. And this is Joshua Brewer, everybody. Let's meet Joshua
Joe.
Brewer, her client,
Joe.
Joe. And so she went out there on May 1st of 2010. So she goes out there and she's driven there, like I said, by her driver. This is and this is the house where Joe lives. So everybody can see his house. And then we have Michael Pack. He's the driver. He drives for the escort service. So he sits outside the house waiting for her. And she's in there quite a long time, but she keeps making calls. She makes several calls. She talks to Pack. Supposedly she talks to the supposed boyfriend, because comments are made that she was stressed. That, that in the one police report I read, they just said she was stressed. They didn't say anything other than that. And so Michael Pack goes in after Joe comes out and says she won't leave. And he finds her behind a couch and she runs. And then that's when she goes to one of the neighbors' houses. And I mean, she's looking for help. She's hiding. She's, like you said,
Very clear. Very clear.
This isn't somebody hallucinating. This isn't somebody having, a drug reaction. This is somebody that's in fear because she hides under somebody's boat at one point. As these guys are trying to find her. She was on that phone call for over 20 minutes. Now, if she was having, let's say, some kind of a mental break, she wouldn't have stayed on the phone that long.
And she was very clear she needed help the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was trying to be quiet because, like you said, there's times that the operator's kind of like yelling, Shannan, Shannan. And she, so you can tell she's trying to be, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but, she's trying to hide.
She's hiding. And she's being pursued. You hear her being pursued. The driver pursued her.
Yeah.
And she said, they're going to kill me. And then she dies.
Yeah.
She was right. She was right. So she's always been the hero of this case.
Yeah.
Because without her, we wouldn't have had the proximity of where to look. The reason we were looking there is because we knew supposedly all the other places have been searched. So we're moving, in logical order. And she did all the things you're supposed to do when you're in trouble.
Yeah.
She really did.
Yeah.
Now, I'd say to the audience, let's do a mind game here a minute.
Okay.
And let's say that the buyer slipped and fell while she was there committing prostitution and he died. Do you think she wouldn't have been arrested?
Oh, yes, she would have.
Yeah, right in a hurry. But we have these 3 men that conspired to carry out prostitution. She dies during the prostitution, and all of them are
Still walking
allowed to
around.
direct the narrative. They were allowed to say the narrative, and no one seems to have questioned it other than her family.
Yes.
So, that's really unfair. That's not the way it should be.
No.
And I would beg and ask that it be looked at under the description of what I said, under the law of human trafficking, and revisited considering those facts. I can't ask Shannon if she was trafficked, but I can look at the broken jaw, the bruises, the fact that the 2 men went and collected the money the next morning. I don't think that's in dispute. That's what I've been told by multiple people. I don't think that's
her
in dispute.
boyfriend
So
that was living with her that also drove for the escort that drove for the escort service. Him and Michael went back the next day.
Yeah, collected money.
And they said it was to look for her.
So I asked if her family ever got that money, and that was a no. I can't say I wasn't there whenever this happened, but in my opinion, it's a good question to ask.
Exactly.
Because if she wasn't coerced, why did they collect?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get it both ways, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree with you on that. It's these guys, they were more interested in the money than more Shannan was. But there was a very odd situation. And that comes from this dude. And this is Dr. Hackett, Peter Hackett. He's a resident there in Oak Beach, people. He's kind of a weirdo, allegedly.
Allegedly.
He was actually, it was noted that he used to give drugs, write prescriptions for the neighborhood. Everybody needs somebody like that, I guess. I don't know. But after Shannan disappeared, even before her mother knew she was missing, this doctor calls Shannan's mom up and then tells her that he asks if Shannan's at the house. And she's like, no, why? And he goes, well, I run a place for wayward girls and I treated her. And I gave her some medication because she was very deeply distressed. And, and so it's like, number one, how did he get her phone number? How did he know Shannan's name? I mean, those are some of the questions I have, you know. And then eventually, this is Shannan's mom. So, Mary was kind of like, how do you know to call me? How did you get my number? He doesn't give her a lot of answers. Later, when she tells, I guess, the police, he denies it until they're able to get phone records showing that, yes, he did call her, but he doesn't remember who Shannan is, didn't see her, it's like, then why were you calling her?
Yeah, that's a fact that really can't be overlooked, is that there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Mary, as Shannan's mother, wouldn't have known about him without that call. So she didn't pick that out of the air,
Well, it makes you wonder if somebody in the area needed him to assist them in something. I don't know.
Well, these are questions that I don't know that they've been fully vetted. Because remember, at the time all this happened, we had the law enforcement issue with the corruption, and it was very, you can feel it. I mean, like I explained what happened to the families after all these bodies are found.
Yeah.
They were still interfering with every way possible.
Well, and I think one thing everybody needs to understand is Dr. Hackett was a first responder for their area.
Yeah.
So if you had an emergency of some kind, who would you call? Oh, I don't know, Dr. Hackett. I mean, I'm not a detective. I don't play one on TV or YouTube, but I watched enough, crime shows I can put a puzzle together. And there's some pieces here missing, but something's kind of forming a picture for me in my head. Like, dude,
Well,
you
the
had her
sad thing
name.
is, this plea deal kind of quiets all the,
Yes.
even though Shannon's not included in it,
Her case
but
has
you
kind of
see how
got pushed to the side.
yeah, and we need to not let that happen because
Yeah.
these are answers that the community deserves.
Oh,
Mhm.
They're valid questions.
I totally agree. And the weird thing was eventually Shannon's belongings get found. Now here's some
Shannon
contradictions.
gets found many months. It was over a year. I don't know the exact.
19 months.
Okay, so 19 months later, she's
Right.
found her body exactly in a straight line from where she was last seen.
Right. But
And yet
these
we
are
were assured that they looked for her with planes and heat sensing and all this drama. They clearly either she wasn't there and they looked, or she
Yeah.
was there and it failed. And that's another question I would ask. What really
Yeah.
did occur on the search for her?
Exactly.
Or was she
N-
missed?
Now the interesting thing, here's where we have some more of this contradiction. One police officer is saying that she was clothed. But they found her belongings, and guess what was in her belongings? Her purse, her cell phone, her ID, and her pants. Okay, if she doesn't have her pants, I have questions. That means she was not totally clothed when they found her because they found her pants with all this stuff. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what's right on that. I don't have the answer on what was the facts there.
No, I mean, these are just the
look at the
questions.
fact
Yeah,
that
these are the
she's
questions that come up.
exactly where you would have been looking for her had she been searched for.
Yeah.
So the question to me is, was she there all that time, 19 months, or was she not? And we don't have the answer to that because we found, if you go back to the earring, I mean, if you're looking for someone and you find your earring, it's not even noted.
Right.
So what was the search? I would love to know. I'm sure her
Right.
family would too. What's left of
And
it?
her belongings were found on December 6th of 2011. And like I said, it was her jeans, her shoes, her purse, her ID, and her cell phone. And they even said, now this is supposed to be a marshy area. Okay. There's supposed to be water here. But they said when they plugged her cell phone in, it worked. Now, if it had laid there for 19 months in water, what kind of phone did she have? 'Cause it must be
You would
amazing.
have thought that it would have, it obviously wouldn't have worked had it been covered with water.
Yeah.
It's a real marshy, peat-based soil, which decomposes things readily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It's a good question.
Yeah. Well, because they say it sometimes supposedly it's supposed to get 10 feet of water there. Then how come
You
all
can
of her
see that
belongings were laying together?
I guess the animals were very selective about what they.
Yeah. Okay.
Those squirrels kept everything together. I mean, it makes you just have questions, you know?
Yeah, and that's it. I'm just asking over and over and over. I sent a letter. I've done interviews. I've said, please, you need answers to these questions. And
Yeah.
she did not have control of anything that night. How can
No.
you say that her death was by her own actions. I will always disagree with that strongly.
Yeah.
It's really, really difficult to believe everything that you read in a report or hear about in a report, because unfortunately sometimes these things get fabricated. I mean,
Yes.
the facts in the report necessarily may not be what actually happened, if the investigation happened at all.
Yeah.
Well, you go back to that time period where there was so much corruption, it was felt everywhere.
Yep.
Right.
You have to assume that you need to look at it with fresh eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They actually need someone to come in that has no connection to that area and to look through the files and look at everything on this case. Pammy made the comment, maybe a spare pair of pants. I don't think so, because her shoes were also there. I think it was just something that the cops said, they tried to say that Shannan drowned. Okay. Well,
inland
in the marshy area. But the number one problem is, by the time they found Shannan, she was a skeleton. They couldn't tell the coroner refused to say she drowned. So at least they didn't have the coroner under their thumb. Thank goodness. That's one point.
Well, how far was her phone from
here's the
body?
Picture. Here's the picture.
Okay.
It shows Brewer's house. Now that's the guy that she was at his house.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the one house where she ran for help. It shows the doctor's house. And then behind the doctor's house, you see where her stuff was found in the one circle. And then her body was found in that other circle by that side road. Now, this is a point I want you all to hear. When her mother was picked up by the police, Shannan's mom got picked up by the police, they were going to show her where they found Shannan. They took her to Dr. Hackett's house and went out on his balcony and pointed to where they found her daughter. Can someone explain that to me?
Because that's where she was.
Yeah.
She was directly behind that house. It wasn't a mystery of where they needed to look.
No.
Yeah.
All the time they were supposedly searching.
But
and I want to just add, I walked that. When we would go, we would walk where we knew she'd been, the group of us. It's a very long walk and an even further run. I didn't run it, but I can imagine her at night trying to run that far. I mean, it's not insignificant.
Well, and my question, Dottie, is if you see that side road over there where her body was actually found, they could have taken Shannan's mom and drove to that road. Why?
I don't know why they did that, but it's very, very dense. You can't hardly walk through it. It's very brambly and tall shrubs. So I won't speculate to why they made that choice. I'm just describing it was really a harsh environment.
Looks are deceiving from up above, because it looks like it looks like you're looking at dirt, and which you aren't. You're looking at deep, dense, maybe some fescue grass or something that looks dead. I mean,
right.
So
those brambles are taller than I am. I'm 5 feet tall, and they were at places taller than I am now. Sometimes they mow them, and so there would be little pathways. But if you get off that pathway, they have thorns that's like barbed wire. It was really thick. I mean, I live in Texas. We got some harsh stuff. They had nothing on that. It was very harsh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things, because when you look at this little picture here, there's another house that's actually maybe closer, that they probably had a balcony too, but because she wanted to know why the police took her to Dr. Hackett's house.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a very
You
bad
know?
move on many, especially knowing Mary. She didn't stay quiet about it either.
Now,
Yeah.
Barbara is asking in
Appreciate
the
her.
chat, what's the distance? Barbara, are you talking about the distance between the body and the belongings, or?
It was only so many yards. It was like a couple of 100 yards from Dr. Hackett's house,
Okay.
is what they said.
Yeah, it's
So,
definitely in the neighborhood, literally, like
oh yeah.
a stone's
Yeah. I mean,
throw.
you could, yeah. So that's why he is somewhat suspicious. I'm not saying he's actually the one that did anything to her. I'm just saying I think he does know what happened to her, because I think there's something weird about this neighborhood, allegedly, because there,
That's an
you know,
interesting. It was. I would travel up there, and I would have to come home, and it feel like your soul was dirty. Like I would shower and shower and shower.
Yeah, oh my.
And it's because there was so much badness, like the oddity
yeah,
of Dr. Hackett, the harshness of the men showing up the next day, and Shannon's still missing. The police, my God,
yeah,
honking and doing their sirens, and people in the neighborhood would whisper to us what they thought had happened, and it was horrendous. I can't
yeah,
even say what they were saying, but they were too afraid to tell authorities, and then that harsh, brambly nature of
of the
I
area.
mean, just all of it. I would
Yeah,
just shower and shower and shower, and it was every time. It was almost like your soul would get dirty with all
yeah,
the harshness, and that those brambles I'll never forget, because to me the whole case was like those brambles.
Hmm.
yeah. And I think
It
that's
would
something
cut you and
important
hurt you.
that everyone needs to realize, that when advocates do the work they do, there's a cost, you know? Um, you do it because you're called to do it, but yet there's a cost that you go through mentally and physically. And that's
Yeah.
why we have to support our advocates. I know the girls have put her website up on there, and like I said, Dr. Hackett to me is just a really strange bird, because when he got
You couldn't have a
he
more unfortunate name for this
Yeah,
oh,
situation.
I know.
yeah.
Well, when he had to do a depo for Shannon's attorney, and
Yeah.
so after it, there was reporters waiting, trying to talk to him. This dude, you guys, literally all of a sudden grabs his chest and said that his defibrillator was acting up, and goes to goes to the ground. And then the
Oh my,
reporter's like, "Oh, well, let me call 911." And he's like, "No, no, I'm a doctor. No, I'm going to call 911. Well, I'm going to refuse to go." And then he asks some guy standing there, he says, "Take a picture of these people because they caused my defibrillator to act up."
Oh my.
God.
It's like, okay. He's now living in Florida. So, Florida, you now have Dr. Hackett down there. Please be aware. I'm just saying, allegedly, you know,
And
because the
this
guy's
old
odd.
lad, he's all whining about whatever happened that day. Can you imagine what the families have been through?
Oh, I know.
I
Because
mean, every
because
stinking day there was some
yeah,
horrible thing that got worse and worse and worse.
and the thing is, Dottie, let's be honest. If he hadn't have called Mary Gilbert, he wouldn't have been in this case at all.
Exactly.
Nobody would have
Exactly.
known him.
Yep.
And we do know that the ogre did like to call, because he did call and harass one of the girl's sisters,
Yeah.
and
And
was
wasn't she amazing at the
oh
sentencing? She says,
yeah,
"Look at me.
yeah,
You go. You go."
yeah,
Yeah, she was amazing. Because remember, she was a child when all this happened, and he
yeah. I
was
think she was
calling
like
her, torturing her.
15, and
Yeah.
this guy is so evil that he's calling and telling her that her sister was deceased, and that and just being ugly and brutal, and I can't even imagine what that family went through.
Yeah, place yourself in that poor little girl's shoes. Her sister's missing. This
Yeah,
call keeps happening. She hears him police may or may not be helping. I don't know what they did with her phone calls. It just made me sad. But she's literally being tortured by this person, and
because he wasn't happy just harming his victims. He liked to torture the families.
Yeah. And I mean, that's part of that personality trait of someone that could do this.
Yeah.
They get their oxygen from pain, where maybe normal people, don't need pain to exist. And so he was just feeding on her torture. Well, I just love the way she stood up and had her say. And, thank goodness that happened. It doesn't make it better. I'm not saying it improves anything, but I was cheering her on here in the distance in the live stream. I'm jumping up and down. Go, you tell him. Look at her, you Edgar.
Yeah, Pammy said she was awesome, Dottie.
She was.
But these are the young ladies that the ogre admitted to. It was Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, Sandra Costella, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. You guys know how hard I have with this. Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, and then Karen Vergata. Now, when he decided to plead, actually his defense team included in the package about Karen Vergata, but they actually didn't charge him for that,
Correct.
which I thought was odd. So,
well, they didn't have that knowledge to do that.
Okay.
So if you look at the DA, he has to have, facts and reason to charge. Right. And so it isn't that she wasn't worth charging. She absolutely was. But as that plea came, he pled to that without the charge. Yeah. So for the DA, it works out. It's more of a, I don't fault him at that. I understand why they did that. They didn't have the facts to charge him at that time.
Because she's one of them that got least talked about, I think, was Valerie. And she had been the mother of 2 little boys that had gone into care. And her father said that she kind of had a troubled past. And the last he heard from her was on February 14th of 1996 when she called to wish him a happy birthday. And he's now gone, but, he loved his daughter. And it's important that, we mention her and make sure that everybody knows that she mattered, because they all do.
Did. Yeah.
All of these girls do. And one of the things,
once they're in this thing, they're women because they've been forced into this. And so they all still matter, and they did matter. And the reason they didn't charge is not anything to do with the value of her death. It was the knowledge of being able to charge it. Yeah. And they wanted to take the plea. I don't blame him. I would have taken it too. Yes, I want her on the record as being one that he's sentenced for. And they may have already had the sentence worked out, but it's still, to me, he's also sentenced for her death because he included it in the plea.
Yeah. So. And this is a picture when they had arrested him. This dude was 6'4", some say 6'6". I don't know. I'm not measuring him. I don't care. But he was broad-shouldered, heavy-framed, could fill a doorway. Now picture the women he chose. Maureen was 4'11". Melissa, Megan, and Amber were all around 5 foot. Valerie was 5 foot. Karen Vergata, 5'3". Sandra was 5'2". Jessica was the tallest at 5'9". And this wasn't incidental, you guys. This is a predator that calculated a man that size doesn't need a weapon to communicate a threat. His body was the threat. He can block an exit just by standing in it. He can end an argument by stepping closer. So for women already navigating survival because of, how their lives were at that time, they're trained by circumstance to read a room, read a man in half a second. And that size difference, it isn't just intimidating, it's disqualifying. It removes options before a word is spoken. And that's the quiet, ugly math that we see. He wasn't hunting equals. He was hunting women his size could overpower without effort. And he knew it. And I think also with Shannan, she read the room. She knew she was in danger.
And
These
she sure
girls'
did.
survival skills are so much different because they've had to depend on them. And I think that's something we lose in the translation.
One thing I noticed in the work I do, and I came to this realization just recently on Father's Day, and I can't speak for all the victims here. There was a father with Karen Vergata, but overall in the work I do, let me just say, overall, when I looked at the cases here, I dealt with women looking for their daughters or aunts looking for their nieces.
Yeah.
There's a protection that men give just by their presence.
Yeah.
Because my mom had to raise us alone. And if somebody was a threat to us, my mom, 5'1" of her, had to physically confront that threat.
Right.
But when there was a man in the house before my dad left, people didn't push that boundary necessarily.
Yeah.
It was like his protection went out past his presence. And I really want people to understand how valuable men are in the lives of their family and their children. I'm just helped a young woman today with an absence of a father. And that is a big hole in her little life that's pulling her in a direction that's not going to work out good. And when I get down to it, she says, how can anyone love me when my dad doesn't?
Oh.
And doesn't that break your heart?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And so she's searching out bad characters like this to fill the hole.
Yeah.
Now, these group of women, there was an overall theme of I didn't have a lot of men to work with. I told you the ones I did, stepfather, the grandfather, but I'm talking about their actual fathers. There seems to be quite an absence.
Well,
and I want men to understand it's not okay. There's no excuse. And you are needed. I don't care who pushed you away. You're needed.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing I visited with you before, that with our native and indigenous family out there a lot, recently on our last show Thursday with them, I even said, we know there are some of the men that are in the movement, but not enough. We need your voices. It's the women being the warriors. It's time for the men to jump in there and say, we're going to help protect you too.
I'm tired. I'm the warrior. And I'm like,
yeah.
And I've helped some great fathers. I want you to know it's not that I've never helped fathers.
Oh, yeah.
But if you count the numbers, I'm going to say it's a little less. And it's a couple of reasons. And one is fathers are a protective force. And, this ogre is a father. And it wasn't lost on me how he is a daughter. These daughters had many of them had an absence when it came to the fathers. So I'm not blaming one here or there. I'm just observing that men are needed. Fathers are very much needed. And you don't understand as a man the vulnerability that women face when we have to be the warrior, the earner, the protector. We need you. We really do.
Yeah. And I think something that hasn't got a lot of attention is that his therapist that was counseling him for 3 years in jail, she's the one that actually was with his wife and daughter when he actually confessed to them what he did. She's not a licensed therapist. This is her.
Well,
this is her. That's her with
fail and fail.
Yeah. This is her with his daughter. That's her with his daughter. My question is, how could the jail not even check? What,
as much as this case has been a mess, it's like so low on the
I know, but
the bar is so low, I can't answer that for you.
I mean, that's just, to me,
And
just
I'm not
another
laughing.
Oh,
It's
I
a
Yeah,
horrible
it's just
situation, but I'm laughing because it's absurd.
yes.
Oh, I
Ridiculous.
know. I think it's just one of those weird aspects to the case that this woman went to the jail and talked to him as the therapist. She now is facing felony charges for
Fourth.
practicing without a license, collecting around $60,000 in fraudulent insurance reimbursements that
Oh my God, I didn't know that part. Oh my
she
God.
billed to Cigna,
She billed.
Medicare, and United Healthcare. So what does this tell us about a system that's
Oh
meant
my
to process
God.
Well,
this
this
man
went on for
afterward?
3 years and nobody bothered to question it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
glad somehow I got caught, but oh, what about?
Goodness.
They
I
must have gotten along well because I'd say narcissist much.
I mean, when I stumbled on that, I was like, how come nobody's talking about this? But another person was the
It's
judge.
so embarrassing.
Judge
Yes.
at the
My God.
at the sentencing, oh, he told the ogre flat out. He said, "You are despicable. You're a small man." And he
Yeah.
made him stand up when he was talking to him.
Yeah.
And he
I
says,
like
as
that.
someone who sat with victims' families through this process, he really told him that you were nothing.
I
He
love it.
laid it on the line.
I helped write one of the victim statements. I don't say I wrote it, but they
Yeah.
asked me what I would think. And he actually he actually said about everything I wrote. I'm like, oh, thank you. That was
Hey,
awesome.
that is
So
so cool.
I was like, wow, did he get my notes or what? But no, it was just so obvious. It was so
Yeah.
obvious what needed to be said. And
Yeah.
I am very grateful for him, the district attorney, the investigators.
Yeah.
They did so good. Such a difference. The non-corrupt people made was just night and
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
It
And
was
that's true.
beautiful. It was
And and
beautiful.
and but you are an advocate, so I do want to talk about that. You have written this book, and this is what parents and grandparents need, what 55 things they need to know. I read it. It's a short book, but it's really good because it gives tips to help protect your young ones or your teens, hey, college students even, you know,
Yes.
because I don't think people realize how many college students get trafficked by
They're fish in a barrel.
Yep.
yeah,
They go off to college and there's bad guys there waiting on them.
yeah. And you talk about predators and apps, and truthfully, can we do something about Snapchat? Why is the government not telling Snapchat you cannot do this no more? You can't be letting stuff disappear. I mean, this is
We can
well,
do a whole show on what I think about children being on the internet.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, because
yeah,
I looking at that photo, I'm just the problem is right there front and center.
yeah,
What
yeah.
are they both holding that is probably most likely the problem?
yeah,
Their
It
access to
connects
the
them
internet,
to,
yeah,
it connects them to every predator in the world.
Oh, yep.
yeah,
Every child that's on that internet device, whatever device it is now connected to every predator in the world.
Yep.
And that's why I wrote this. I wrote this in 2015. It was actually really cutting edge then, and it's still relevant today. I told you I met with a kid this morning.
yeah,
Exactly the reason I was, her mom found me and said I need your help was because of what she had connected to online.
yeah,
And I equate this to when cars were first made. Children were allowed to drive, and now we think, oh my God, that's horrible.
yeah,
Well, children were dying because they were allowed to drive cars. So we changed the law and said children, can't drive till a certain age with proficiency, with restrictions. And
right,
yet we just connected our children to every predator in the world without a
yeah,
thought. So today's children are like those children that died in the car wrecks. I've had
yeah,
13 deaths in cases I've been asked to help on. It's
yeah.
just me. 13.
And the thing is, Mustang asks, is Snapchat still around? Yeah. In fact, in the young man that was recently on the boating trip with his friends, and then they found him deceased. When his mother got his phone back, the Snapchat was empty, and the people that was with him had his phone. She tracked the phone down, but the Snapchat was empty, and it shouldn't have been. And
No.
so either someone deleted the messages because it wasn't time for Snapchat to take them off the server. That's the thing with Snapchat and why predators use it, is because after so long, all the pictures and the messages they delete from the server. So even if the
Yeah.
police got a warrant, if they don't have that small amount of time, the stuff's gone. That's why something in my book needs to be
Yeah,
done about
there's
Snapchat.
no long-term accountability for anything.
No, none.
And
And
that's who uses that,
yeah, and I think an
Somebody's
interesting thing you brought up, Dottie, when we were talking beforehand, was about parents taking the phone away. Because you catch your kid doing something, and so you say, "I'm going to take your phone." You're being punished. Phone's gone. What happens?
bad guy drops a device on your kid that you don't know about. The bad guy goes, "Thank you, mom and dad. I expected you to do that. And now I can talk to your kid unfettered, unworried that you will ever know what I said."
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have no way of
It's scary.
tracking it now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think another thing that I really learned when I was looking through your book was it talked about how people don't realize predators often know more about the victims. And I had shared the experience with you that I saw something online where they said, let's say you go to the store and you have your son with you, and you're walking down the store and some grown man says, "Hey, little Johnny, how you doing today?" And then walks on by, and the father looks at the guy and looks at his son and, "Do you know him?" "Oh, yeah." And then pretty soon you go around the corner and some woman, "Hey, little Johnny." And by the time you get through the store, you've had 20 people call out to your son. You know none of them. Hello, that's what's happening on the internet daily,
Exactly.
hourly, you know,
Yes.
and,
And
and
they're
they
consuming
test them.
things. Yeah. They're
It
consuming
yeah, I mean,
language and images that you can't imagine.
and it starts simple, I know Chung Kim, that's who I found you through. She had some little shorts that she put out, and one of them is they start on a game saying, "Which game do you like? What color do
Yeah.
you like?" Before you know it, they have your child's whole life history. Because what's one thing about children we can all say? Children like to talk. And if mom and dad aren't talking to
About
them,
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're going to find someone that will, you know? And these people are pretending to be their age and their friend, and so yeah, they tell them everything. Do you go to
I've
school?
had cases where the kids are communicating with someone online and that person showed up in the house while the parents were asleep multiple times and then actually robbed the house and then came back again where the little younger sibling was in the room while they had sex with the older sibling. And
Oh,
mom and dad were asleep the whole time. So it's like giving the key to your front door to every bad guy in the world.
Hmm.
yeah,
Your kids don't know to
yeah.
protect themselves, and they should, but they don't. They post where they go to school or where they had, you know, baseball game or football game or,
Well,
so something that starts online goes in person
yeah.
instantly.
Well, what's even behind your kid when they're online? Is there a poster from their
Yeah,
school? Is there, posters of the sports they like? Posters of an artist that they like? Right there, they have someone to have a connection. We have a
yeah.
conversation now. Oh, you
And
like that singer?
part of the grooming is mirroring. It's a technique called mirroring. So if you have an orange cat, they'll have an orange cat. If you have a love of baseball, they have a love of baseball. And that brings your kid into the conversation and lowers their defenses, but also engages their dopamine.
And the kids don't realize that they don't know as much about their friend because they're so busy answering questions, because they
Yeah.
think, here's someone that's interested in hearing my story about my tough day at school when mom told me, tell me later, or I'm busy right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And it's not that mom and dad are bad people. It's that mom and dad are dealing with life, trying to get the bills, trying to get another job. You know, it's not
Oh,
like
and a
this
new
kid.
friend,
It's
exciting anyway. New friends are more
yeah.
fun than mom and dad.
Well, and it's not like, they come from bad families, because that was one thing you brought.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. Tell them. Please tell them.
Yeah, because you had the case where you had the one young girl that had been trafficked, and when her parents were going to send someone to get her, they sent a private plane. That
Yeah.
means they had money. This was a
Oh,
child that
yeah.
came from wealth, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It can happen to any child person. You guys, you can't sit there and think it will never happen to my family.
I have wonderful parents every day.
Yeah. I-
Two parents in the home, the whole bit.
Yeah.
They're, so I want parents to know if this happened to you, it doesn't mean you're bad.
Yes.
It means bad people value your kid like $500,000 in cash. And
Yeah.
that's what they will go through to get to your priceless child.
Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
you, they're very valuable, many wise to a bad guy.
Yeah. Simi and Barbara both said, quit putting your kids' pictures up on the internet. That's true. Actually, I've even heard people say on your vehicle, people that will put the little things of like the
Yeah.
mom, the dad, the kids, and the pets, those little stickers, stop,
Yeah.
because they know right away you're a parent, you have children, and you have pets. So if you have somebody watching you, they already know to come to your child and say, "Oh, how is your sister doing?" Because in those, something that simple as a sticker on your car will show them how many siblings, male, female, dog, cat. You're giving out information. I mean, behind me, what can you see? I'm on the air. I have an alien, a cat, and a Z. Wow, not a whole lot there. But if I was a kid and I had posters behind me, if I had books behind me that you could see, so much information we're giving away. But
Yeah.
I agree, we have to stop putting our children on the internet in pictures without, you
I
know,
wish I could rewind and start over again and not let them on till they're 30. They really don't
yeah,
need to be there prior to that.
yeah,
Certainly not two-way communication. I mean, they could, maybe find ways that we get them into the internet in stages and with knowledge, but not
yeah,
just throw them out there on the internet.
yeah.
I wish I could rewind time and start it over. I would probably have much more time for gardening and my horses than I would helping parents whose kids got taken. I mean, literally, they'll go to sleep and the parents will wake up and their kid's gone, or they'll
Yeah,
send them to school and they don't come home.
yeah,
Those are the calls I get very often. Like, it's not
yeah,
rare; it's consistent.
yeah,
And I wish so much that we could go back in time and fix this before we let all
yeah.
this happen.
Night Pammy, she's got to bounce. But yeah,
Yeah,
I read that in your book too, that 3 a.m. is a time that they will come get your kid.
yeah, you
And
need to check on
actually,
your kids all the
one of
night.
the first cases we did was a missing girl in Fort Worth, and it was around 2, 3 a.m. when she disappeared, and she
Yeah,
got, coerced out.
gives you
So
a
that's
head start on mom and dad when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, and another thing, everybody knows this. I hate the word runaway. We
Yes,
gotta stop using it. It's a dirty word. It's just a label. We got to stop labeling people, because most kids that we see, these kids that leave the house, they don't intend on staying away forever. They get coerced to come out and meet someone. They think they're meeting someone their age. I'm 12. I'm going to go meet this 12-year-old boy. That's it. They don't know they're meeting some 40-year-old man that's going to take off with them.
some
You
growth,
know?
man.
Yeah. And so that's the thing we have to do. We have to, be on the watch. We can't keep labeling these children as runaways. And if a kid does keep leaving home, then we have questions to ask. What's going on at home? What's so bad that they are running off?
Or who's luring them. A lot of times
Yeah.
when you get them back and you don't find out who lured them, they just wait a few weeks and then get them again.
Or they
So
get,
you've got to
or
find
what
out
was it one of
why.
your stories that you said something about sometimes they'll get somebody else to lure another child to get them back out?
Yeah, yeah. So they're just surrounded and don't know it. And again, we want to
Yeah.
blame the kid, but no, if you don't arrest who lured them, they're
Yeah.
not going to give up. That kid's worth a lot of money to them, so they're not going to give up.
So if someone's watching tonight, Dottie, and they're worried about a young person in their life, their child, a grandchild, niece or nephew, whatever, what's the most practical thing right now that they should do?
They need to dive into where they are online and read the messages and find out, is someone luring them by telling them, "Oh, they're so smart, beautiful, you're the best, blah blah blah. How could your mom be mad at you?" That's all grooming language, and they need
Yeah.
to look for that because that's where you're going to find the answers. So dive into their social media. Don't don't think, "Oh, I can't do it," or "I don't know this." Well, you need to know. You just
Yeah.
got to. So, YouTube it up, AI it, figure out how to get in to where you understand their media, and give them something better to do if you can too. Something,
Yeah.
horseback riding, gardening, twirling. I don't know. I did all those gymnastics.
Yeah.
Something they can do besides meld into a screen.
And sometimes it's just listening to your child. I know everybody's busy and you have busy lives. We all do. But sometimes you got to, having that family dinner, so your child feels heard, you
and,
know,
and a
Yeah.
family dinner without the
the phones
phone in their hand.
Yes.
and the TV
Put
on.
them in a
Yeah.
box. Yeah. Put them in a box, turn it off, and really talk. I mean, win-win, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
find your kids actually interesting.
And and OnlyFans says transparency with your child for sure. And that's true. You have to be transparent with your child. I think sometimes as parents we try and act like, oh, we never made a mistake. Yeah, we all make mistakes. That's part of life. Let them know that,
Lots of it.
mistakes happen, but we're here to help you. We're here to guide you. And if you do have a mistake, let us know so we can help you.
And a
Don't
lot
come.
of times, I will say, kids will not come to their parents. I know
Yeah.
bad guys came after me when I was a kid, and I never told my mom. She's deceased, and I'm 62 years old. I hope she still doesn't know. And I love my mom. We had the
Yeah.
greatest, it's just that I didn't want to bring some more problems to her plate. She already had too
Right.
many. So I would urge you to also develop a trusted friend that's an adult,
Yeah.
to handle the overflow that maybe your kid's not telling you.
Yeah.
Someone that's going to tell you, but
And that
someone they might go to in
and
a,
that's what
plan
Josh
B.
said. Josh said, cultivate an environment where your child feels comfortable sharing. You know,
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
and make
That
it
means a
those.
team effort, it's
Yeah,
teamwork.
that means you share with your kid too. It's
Yeah.
not like they're the ones that only have to talk. If you have a bad day, don't be afraid to tell them. "Ah, I had a
Yeah.
terrible day at work. My coworker drove me nuts." You don't have to give the names, but let them know that, hey, as you grow up, things happen. Semi says, I have a phone basket for mealtime. Awesome.
I love that. Yay. I love
She's one
that.
of our mods. So yeah, Semi's always got some good stuff there. But real quickly, let's do our missing people because we do this every show. Put your phones down when you're out and about, people. Look at people's faces. Don't be in a phone. If you see somebody, call the authorities because sometimes people will leave home because they're coerced and then they get in a situation they can't come home. And we know trafficking's real. So trust your instincts. If something feels odd, call. Say something. Don't count on somebody else doing it. This is Dakota Santiago. She's 16 years old. March 31st, 2026. She went missing from Thornton, Colorado. She has brown eyes, pink hair. She's 5'7" and weighs 100 pounds. She was last seen wearing a white sweater, black sweatpants. Call Thornton Police at 720-977-5150. Or if you're in a different area and you see her, because they can travel with these kids, call 911. She's 16. She needs to come home. This is Linda June Head. She was last seen, she's 43. She was last seen June 30th of this year at 11:30 a.m. in downtown Winnipeg, Manitoba. She's been missing for 12 days. She's 5 foot, 155 pounds, has black hair and brown eyes. This was reported up there in Winnipeg, so the number to call is 204-986-6250 or the Bear Clan Patrol at 204-794-3568 or Morgan's Warriors 204-996-9347 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Our next person is Raylene Holmes. She's 22. She went missing June 21st of 2026 around 11 a.m. in the Toughstone neighborhood, number 9 neighborhood, San Carlos, Arizona. We know a lot of them go missing around that area at the San Carlos Apache Reservation. Last contact was June 24th via a Facebook Messenger. I don't know if that was actually person to person or just a message. She's been missing for over 21 days. She's 5'1" and 150 pounds. She was wearing a black shirt, denim shorts. If you have information, contact San Carlos Apache Police at 928-475-2311. Whoops, I went too fast again.
Oh,
I forgot Anthony. Anthony Troy Javier. He's 22. This is an old one because he went missing April 8th of 1998. He was 22 at the time. He would be 50 now. He wasn't reported missing until February 7th of 2002, 4 years later. The Cold Lake RCMP up in Canada. They got the phone call from his mother. He lived a transient lifestyle, and there's nothing wrong with that. We don't put blame on anybody. But because he lived the transient lifestyle, it didn't get reported that he was missing. And so, sadly, he got overlooked. His mother wants him home. And so let's help them find him, Anthony. If anybody knows anything, the case number is 2002-0439 or 201-59373. Contact Cold Lake RCMP at 780-594-3302 or Crime Stoppers 1-800-222-8477. Remember, you guys, somebody always knows something. And if you see something, you need to say something. Dottie, before we wrap up, this is your moment. Anything you want to leave our community tonight? What can the normal person do to help, or any resources they need to remember, or anything about Megan and Shannan or the other women? Before we close out, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. And yeah, Shannan is our heavenly hero that, because of her, brought all this, possibility and probably saved all the lives that would have been lost had he not been found and incarcerated. My favorite thing to do is to train communities and law enforcement. So if your community group or law enforcement would like to have a training or a speech, you can reach me at my website. And I would love to make your community safe for your children and victims and hostile to those who would prey upon them.
mm-hmm.
Dottie, thank you truly for the work you do tonight, for carrying these families with you the way you do. And before we sign off, I want to say something plainly. We're not going to call this dude a genius. We're not going to call him a mastermind. The ogre was not some criminal savant who outwitted the system for more than a decade. He was a coward who targeted women he believed the world had already decided not to protect. And for years, he was right. That's the part that should sit the heaviest with all of us. Not his size, not his double life, but what he hid, The part that should sit heavy is that it worked. It worked because decades of law enforcement treating cases involving sex workers, escorts as lesser, runaways as lesser, women who have been coerced, trafficked, and put into situations we may not understand. It worked because of a culture that's quicker to ask, what was she doing out there? And who did this to her? So tonight, we're not centering on him. We're centering on Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, Jessica, Valerie, Karen, and Sandra. Women with families, with names like Shannan, because they matter. Before the last chapter of them became a crime scene. And we're not forgetting Shannan Gilbert. Her name started this entire case. If it wasn't for her, these girls might not have been found for even longer. Her family is still waiting for answers. Not the ones that came easy, not the ones that closed a file. And until that changes, she's part of this story. Sex workers are not a social ill. Violent men are. Giselle Petticoat put it over there in France when she said, shame must change sides. She said this first at the opening day of her own trial through her attorney, meaning it should be her abusers, not her, who carry the shame. And that's true. That's the whole lesson. It shouldn't have taken 8 women in this many years to say it out loud. But remember, every killer and predator out there depends on your silence. Please don't give it to him. If you know something, speak up, because it wasn't a mannequin. It never is. And remember, somebody always knows something, and silence is betrayal here at Trial Junkies United and Justice After Dark. So we want to thank everybody for coming. Until next time, we want you to stay informed. We want you to stay compassionate. Keep seeking truth. Keep demanding justice. Never stop speaking up. Dottie, you're welcome to come back anytime if you have a subject or a story or just something you want to share with us. Please come back. Doc,
I'd be honored too.
Thank you. And Doc, do you want to say goodnight?
Good night, Doc.
I wrote another song on the end. I'm sorry we kind of went long, but sometimes when we have guests and we have big topics, we have a lot to discuss. Don't forget Shannan. We still need to get the word out there. They need to solve that. We love you all. Remember, the criminals never stop. Neither do we. So until next time, we'll see you Thursday. Good night. Ciao, everybody.
She wasn't looking for trouble, just someone to see her. Mom was busy, Dad wasn't around. Any child can be taken, no one is immune. He was watching, waiting for a way in. You're different, baby, not like the rest. He made her feel special, made her feel blessed. Then he asked her for a photo, just this one time. Started as a whisper, now the damage is done. When will we stop blaming the victim? When will we see she didn't run, she was trapped? She's not the criminal in this story. While the pimp counts money and the John walks free. When will we stop blaming the victim? Any child in any home could be her. When will we stand up for the broken? Silence is betrayal. Let the truth be spoken. You owe me now, baby, and the trap starts to close. And he heard her and he used it, that's how it always goes. Nude photos sold as if she's not even human. Remember, I take care of you, manipulation growing something to ease the shame. Now it numbs the pain and the beating start. Maybe your baby sister's next. She stays to protect them, trapped inside the nightmare. We see her mugshot. Trouble, not a victim. Once it starts, there's no clean way back out. The debt keeps growing, drowning out every doubt. He's got her photos, he's got her scared and alone. family threatens to make it known she can't go home now, can't face what he has done. Not a runaway, traffic coerced by pimp's design. She's drowning in a life that was never her choice. Oh, the John slips away, no name, no face. We blame the broken girl, give him no disgrace. He goes home to his family, she goes to a cell. We punish the survivor while he hides so well. She was just a girl who wanted to be seen. She found someone who told the stories of forever. For the first time, she believed she mattered, but it was all a lie, a trap dressed as love. I think about who I used to be, just a kid who wanted someone to love me. I wasn't broken, I wasn't looking for this. I just wanted someone to notice I exist. If only I could be home, safe again. When will we stop blaming the victim? She's a daughter, not a label. She's not just a statistic in your system. She's a survivor fighting to stay above water. When will we stop blaming the victim? This could be anyone's child. Help her, don't judge. When will we stand up for the broken? Silence is betrayal. Let justice be heard. No one asked for this. No one chose this path. Any child can be taken. Remember that. When will we stop blaming the victim? When will we stop blaming her and start saving her?